Thank you. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to all. My name is Ilham Hajaha. It was for today. So, today we're going to talk about ethnic conflicts in America, especially the white Americans. Oh, Donald Trump. Easy. And the black Americans. Oh, okay then. So, yesterday, we managed to cover a pre-trial proceedings where a black man are suing a policeman because of police brutality. So, let's go to the video there, shall we?
Today we gather here to discuss the pre-trial between the plaintiff, Mr. Wilson, accompanied with his lawyer, Mr. Pickle, and the defendant, Mr. Copperfield, with his lawyer, Mr. Potato. We may proceed with the plaintiff.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. My client has filed a lawsuit against Mr. Copperfield regarding the attack he faced that conducted by Mr. Copperfield himself. Mr. Wilson, I presume.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what actually happened on that day?
And that day, I want to buy some foods in a supermarket. When I enter a supermarket, suddenly police arrest me. I don't know why. I ask him, "Why you arrest me?" She don't give a question. She don't have an answer. Why? Suddenly he arrest me without I cannot question why you arrest me.
I think that will be enough, sir. I think that will be enough. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, defendant, do you have anything to say?
Yes. This is a misunderstanding. My client, Mr. Copperfield, was actually trying to self-defense himself. He was the nearest at the block where a robbery occurred, and he rushed to the crime scene. On his way, he saw Mr. Wilson, the plaintiff, walking alone, acting rather suspicious. When my client tried to arrest him, he tried to conceal an object. What was the object you tried to hide, Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, at that time, I concealed a PSP.
PSP?
Yeah, PSP.
Why do you try to conceal a PSP?
Because I like play PSP.
Really?
Yeah. I like this. Yeah.
Okay.
Hide the PSP.
Do you know that your action has caused Mr. Copperfield to be very careful toward you? Because the action may be actually a bomb. It can be a gun. Do you know that it can also bring harm to people if you...
Objection.
Why?
Objection, Your Honor.
Why?
Bias. Don't you think after you brought someone into a custody, won't be that person will be guarded by a heavy ton of police at that scene? Don't you think so? You brought people into the police station, right? Then the police station gotta have more people. Then it's supposed to be this guy self-protect himself. Rather than that, it's supposed to be an assault.
But from my client's sake, is it true that Mr. Wilson tried to attempted to resist your arrest?
Apparently true. He almost chopped my arm off.
No.
You must stop your arm.
Yes.
No.
Objection. Bias. Almost doesn't count. Never count.
But from the report, it said that Mr. Wilson, you raised your hand. You raised your hands when one of your hands when Mr. Copperfield tried to arrest you. That action may cause Mr. Copperfield to be very self-cautious about it. Maybe you were trying to harm him. Maybe you were trying to hit him. That's why Mr. Copperfield, in an act of self-defense, used a little bit of force in order to restrain you.
So you realize you are a police officer. So where you went last 1 month ago? You suddenly leaving the police force.
I'm a policeman, so all of my act is based on professionalism.
So you are policeman. where you're going? Are you leaving the force 1 month ago? Because you suddenly gone missing, then you suddenly pop up with long hair and with the beard. Where you get that from?
So, I go away for a while. I go to Kamartaj. So, I learn to find peace within myself. And then I go back here and I find out that some people accuse me of, something bad. So now I'm here. So all of my things that I'm doing is based on act of professionalism. So I follow the rules and I have legitimacy over a suspect during that time. That's all.
For what rule? What rule do you use at that time actually? Because isn't proper way you just go to that person and just ask them, will you follow me? I took you into a custody. It'd be reasonable, right? Right?
Yeah, true.
True.
Yeah, true.
And now you just support me. Thank you very much.
Yeah. No.
So the final question for Mr. Wilson. Your friends say that you are also a liar. When you play games, you use dirty tactics and you also always cheat. And also for my report, you have been a Muslim for 11 years. Doesn't that mean you are maybe a very dangerous person? Maybe a terrorist?
No, I am not terrorist. Wow, that's bad, Mr. Potato. Bad. Shame on you. But then that's what commonly happen in America, where the black people are facing police brutality, discrimination, and even segregation till this day. So today we have two correspondents, where the first one are going to talk about the blacks, their origins and demography. Now we invite our first correspondent, Mr. Shaki Yafra. Yes, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay, so the question is, can you tell us about the origins of the black Americans?
Okay, thank you for Amsha. Based on my note, African American history start in 16th century, which people from West Africa possibly taken as slave to Spanish American, and in the 17th century, which the West African slave taken to English colonized in North America. After the founding of the United States, black people continue to be enslaved, which 4 million denied freedom from bondage prior to the Civil War. These circumstances were changed by reconstruction, development of the black community, participation in the great military conflict of the US, the elimination of racial segregation, and the civil rights movement which sought and social freedom.
Oh, I see. So, and then can you briefly tell us about the terms, the black American, and then the population of them in the country?
Okay, African American, also referred to as Black American or Afro American, or before 90s as Negro, and certain who reach to ethnocentrism highest degree level, who actually call them something more often. Black and African American constitute the third large racial and ethnic group in the United States after White American and Latino American. In 2010, total population of Black American is 42 million, including 3 million sitting both black and another race, which is 12.6% of US population.
Oh, okay. So, thank you to our first correspondent, Mr. Shaki Afra. Now let's go to another correspondent who is an American, and his name is Mr. Mas Mubarak. So, Mas, good morning.
Good morning, Amshar, and thank you for having me. It has been all my pleasure.
You're welcome. So, the question is, can you describe what are the cause, reason, of ethnic conflicts between black and white Americans.
Thank you, Amsha. So the thing is about the ethnic crisis in America itself happens because of the white American and the black American itself. They have their own issues where the lack of diversity between themselves, because the white people think that they are more superior, while the blacks think that they always be the victims of the white people. So they intend to segregate themselves to the white people, and also the white people also think that they need to segregate themselves with the black people. So there is no connection between both of them. And one thing that we try to learn the society of America itself, the mentality which divide themselves, which turns themselves into an ethnocentric, ethnic, is because the status and everything. Perhaps the American itself, the white American itself, feel afraid when it comes to colors of a certain ethnic. They always be precise about it, which means that is a racial color. And meanwhile, the white also accuse that the blacks, African American itself, as a threat, because most of them are involved with crime activities such as I can make any example of it, which is in Missouri, in Florida. That is the most black people live. So they tend to accuse that most of the black people are involved in crime activities. So as for the white itself, the black accuse that such as the police itself using their own power to arrest black people easily without consent, and it is really unfair for us human in terms of human rights.
Oh, very good explanation there. So, is there any attempt solution to solve the problem and then to make things better in America?
There are a lot of ways that we can do to make America great. The first thing is we try to make multiracial marriages as one of our tools to make things better between the whites and the black. So after that, there will be a lot of assimilation between themselves. So people can get to know each other, people can learn each other so well. And that is one thing, and we can do a lot of campaigns that we can use to make people realize that color doesn't mean that you're at the top or you're at the bottom in a race or something like that. We are Americans, so we are all Americans. And one thing is, I hope that all of us will be like a panda, because panda is not racist. Panda itself is an Asian. He's an Asian. He's black and he's white. So let's make America great.
Oh, I see. So, thank you so much, Mr. Mas Mubarak. And mind you that Mr. Mas Mubarak has no connection to Donald Trump's campaign, which is Make America Great Again. So, the conclusion is, there are certain reasons that leads to the ethnic conflicts between white and black Americans that sometimes even getting worse. But despite all the challenges, there always an attempt to solve this matter, which in order to make the country, America, a better place to stay. So that's all folks for today. My name is Arman Amshah. Thank you for watching and goodbye. Before I forget, please subscribe to our channel. Yes, down there. Yes, click the subscribe button. Okay, and then if you're getting boring or somehow, please watch this video, especially the first one. Yes. Okay then, hasta la vista.